Wealth Nexus Media. A car payment does not feel dangerous at first. It feels normal. Almost everyone has one. The dealership expects it. The salesperson talks in monthly payments. Your friends probably have payments. Your coworkers probably have payments. And when you are making decent money, it is easy to tell yourself, I can afford this. That is where the trap starts. Because the real danger of a car payment is not always that it ruins your finances overnight. It usually does something quieter. It reduces your margin. It claims part of your future income. It makes your lifestyle more expensive. And it can delay wealth building for years without looking like a financial emergency. That is why car payments are one of the most underestimated wealth killers for young professionals. Not because owning a nice vehicle is evil, not because everyone should drive the cheapest car possible forever, but because a vehicle is one of the easiest places to confuse affordability with wisdom. And those are not the same thing. A payment can fit in your monthly budget and still be a bad financial decision. A bank can approve you for the loan, and that still does not mean the loan is good for your life. A dealership can tell you the monthly payment is manageable, and they might even be technically right. But manageable does not mean optimal, and manageable does not mean harmless. According to Experian's Q4 2025 automotive finance data, the average monthly payment for a new vehicle increased to $767, with the average new vehicle loan amount reaching $43,582. The average interest rate for a new vehicle loan was 6.37%. That means the normal car payment is now close to what some people used to pay for rent. And once something becomes normal, people stop questioning it. That is the problem. Normal does not mean financially healthy. Normal just means common. It is common to finance vehicles for long terms. It is common to roll negative equity into the next loan. It is common to upgrade as soon as income rises. It is common to focus on monthly payment instead of total cost. But common behavior often produces common results. And the common result is that a lot of people make decent money but have very little financial flexibility. The first hidden cost of a car payment is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what your money cannot do because it is already committed somewhere else. If you have a $700 car payment, that is not just $700 leaving your account this month. It is $700 that cannot go toward your emergency fund. It cannot go toward a brokerage account. It cannot go toward a Roth IRA. It cannot go toward paying down high-interest debt. It cannot go toward a house down payment. It cannot go toward building a business. It cannot stay in your life and become an asset. It leaves every month. And the painful part is that most people do not feel the opportunity cost immediately. They feel the vehicle immediately. They see it in the driveway. They enjoy the features. They feel the upgrade. But they do not see the missing investment account. They do not see the emergency fund that could have been larger. They do not see the future flexibility that got traded away. That is why car payments are so psychologically dangerous. The benefit is visible. The cost is invisible, and invisible costs are easy to ignore. Let's say someone has a $650 car payment. That is $7,800 per year. Over 5 years, that is $39,000 in payments, before even counting insurance, fuel, maintenance, registration, repairs, or depreciation. Now, this does not mean every dollar would have automatically been invested instead. That is not realistic. But even if half of that money could have gone toward investing or debt reduction, the long-term difference can be massive. Because the real issue is not just the payment, it is what the payment prevents. The second hidden cost is the total cost of ownership. Most people ask, can I afford the monthly payment? But the better question is, can I afford the vehicle? Those are different questions. A vehicle is not just the loan, it is insurance, fuel, maintenance, tires, registration, repairs, depreciation, interest, and sometimes higher lifestyle expectations that come with owning something newer or nicer. AAA's 2025 Your Driving Costs Analysis estimated that the average cost to own and operate a new vehicle was $11,577 per year, or about $964.78 per month. That includes more than just the loan payment. It reflects the broader cost of owning and driving a new vehicle. That number is important because it shows why the payment alone is misleading. A $600 payment might feel manageable, but if insurance is higher, maintenance is higher, fuel is higher, and depreciation is happening in the background, the true monthly cost can be much higher than the payment you focused on at the dealership. And this is where young professionals get squeezed. They do not always buy one massive luxury vehicle. Sometimes they buy a vehicle that is just a little too expensive for their stage of life. A little more payment than they should have. A little longer loan than they should have. A little higher insurance. A little less room to save. And because it is only a little, it does not feel like a big mistake. But wealth is often built or delayed in those little margins. The third hidden cost is long-term debt dependency. When people get used to always having a car payment, they start treating it like a permanent bill. Rent or mortgage, utilities, phone, insurance, car payment. It becomes part of normal life. But that mindset is expensive. Because if you always have a car payment, then you are always renting part of your future income from yourself. The goal should not necessarily be to never finance a car. That may not be realistic for everyone. The goal is to avoid becoming dependent on financing as a lifestyle pattern. There is a big difference between using a car loan strategically and always needing a car loan because you never keep vehicles long enough to build breathing room. The wealth-building move is not always buying the cheapest car. It is breaking the cycle where every vehicle decision creates another 5, 6, or 7 years of payments. That cycle is where people lose momentum. They finally pay one car down, then upgrade. They get a raise, then upgrade. They need a repair, so they use it as justification to upgrade. They get tired of the old vehicle, so they upgrade. And every time they upgrade, they reset the clock. The payment continues. The interest continues. The depreciation continues. And the investment account waits. The fourth hidden cost is depreciation. Depreciation is not as emotionally obvious as a payment, but it is real. Vehicles usually go down in value over time. That means you can be making payments on an asset that is losing value while also paying interest for the privilege of owning it. That is not automatically wrong. Transportation has utility. A reliable vehicle can help you work, support your family, and live your life. But financially, it is very different from buying an asset that is expected to appreciate or produce income. A car is usually a consumption asset. It may be necessary, it may be enjoyable, it may be worth it, but it is usually not wealth building. And if too much of your income goes toward consumption assets, it becomes harder to buy productive assets. That is the real trade-off. Nobody becomes financially strong just by avoiding car payments. But plenty of people delay financial strength by taking on payments that are too large, too long, or too frequent. The fifth hidden cost is risk. A large car payment makes your life more fragile. If your income drops, the payment stays. If your insurance rises, the payment stays. If rent goes up, the payment stays. If you have a medical bill, the payment stays. If you want to change jobs, the payment still has to be made. Fixed expenses reduce flexibility, and flexibility is one of the most underrated parts of personal finance. When your fixed expenses are low, you have options. You can invest more. You can save more. You can take a better job that has short-term uncertainty. You can survive emergencies with less panic. You can make decisions from a position of strength. But when your fixed expenses are high, your paycheck is already spoken for. That creates pressure, and pressure leads to worse financial decisions. This is why the car payment discussion is not really about cars. It is about control. How much of your income do you still control after your fixed expenses are paid? If the answer is not much, then even a good income can feel tight, and the vehicle may be part of the reason. The sixth hidden cost is that dealerships train you to think in payments. This is one of the biggest traps. A salesperson might ask, "What monthly payment are you comfortable with?" That sounds helpful, but it shifts your attention away from the total price. Once the conversation becomes about payment, the loan term can stretch. The interest rate can be overlooked. Add-ons can be included. The total cost can rise. And as long as the payment looks acceptable, the deal feels acceptable. But a lower payment over a longer term does not mean the car is cheaper. It may just mean the cost is being stretched out. This is why you should negotiate and evaluate the total cost, not just the monthly payment. What is the purchase price? What is the interest rate? What is the term? What is the total interest paid? What is the out-the-door cost? What is the insurance increase? What happens if you want to sell it in 3 years? Those questions matter more than, "Can I make the payment?" Because almost any expensive thing can be made to look reasonable if you stretch the payment long enough. The seventh hidden cost is lifestyle creep. This is where car payments connect to a much bigger financial pattern. You get a raise. You feel like you have earned an upgrade. You look at your current car and start thinking, "I could do better." And maybe you can, but the question is not whether you can afford better. The question is whether better is the best use of your next dollar. That is the tension. There is nothing wrong with enjoying your money. There is nothing wrong with driving something reliable, comfortable, or even nice. The issue is when every income increase immediately turns into a higher lifestyle baseline. Because if every raise becomes a payment, then your income rises, but your wealth does not. A higher income should create more options. But if it only creates higher fixed expenses, you are not moving forward. You are just making the treadmill more expensive. So what is the better approach? First, set a vehicle rule before you shop. Do not figure out your limit at the dealership. That is too late. Decide up front what payment, total price, and loan term actually fit your financial goals. A good vehicle decision should leave room for investing, saving, emergencies, and normal life. If the car only works when everything else goes perfectly, it is too expensive. Second, focus on total transportation cost, not just payment. Payment plus insurance, payment plus fuel, payment plus maintenance, payment plus repairs, payment plus registration, payment plus depreciation. That full number is what your vehicle actually costs you. Third, avoid stretching the loan just to make the payment feel comfortable. Longer terms can make expensive vehicles feel affordable, but they can also keep you in debt longer and increase the odds that you owe more than the vehicle is worth. Fourth, consider buying less car than you technically qualify for. This is not about being cheap. It is about protecting your margin. The gap between what you can afford and what you choose to spend is where wealth gets built. Fifth, keep vehicles longer when it makes sense. The cheapest car is not always the best car. Repairs matter, reliability matters, safety matters. But if a vehicle is paid off, reliable, and meeting your needs, keeping it longer can be one of the most underrated wealth moves. A paid-off car gives you a chance to redirect former payments toward assets. That is where the math starts working in your favor. Imagine paying off a car and then keeping it for 3 more years. Instead of immediately replacing the payment, you redirect $500 per month toward investing, debt payoff, or savings. That is $6,000 per year. Over 3 years, that is $18,000 before investment growth. That is real money. That is an emergency fund. That is a serious brokerage account start. That is debt freedom progress. That is a house fund. That is flexibility. And that flexibility is easy to miss when the only thing you are focused on is the next upgrade. The point is not that you should never have a car payment. The point is that a car payment should be a deliberate decision, not a default setting. For some people, financing a reliable vehicle is reasonable. If you need transportation to earn income, a car has value. If your current vehicle is unsafe or constantly breaking down, replacing it may make sense. If your income is strong, your savings rate is healthy, and the payment does not interfere with your goals, then a car payment may be manageable. But if your emergency fund is weak, your investing is inconsistent, your credit card debt is growing, or your paycheck already feels tight, then a large car payment is probably not just a transportation decision. It is a wealth-building obstacle. That is the honest version. A car can help your life, but the wrong car payment can quietly control your life. It can make a good income feel average. It can make investing feel impossible. It can make emergencies feel bigger. It can keep you dependent on your next paycheck. And it can delay the moment where your money finally starts working for you. So before you sign for the vehicle, ask better questions. Not just, can I afford the payment? Ask, what does this payment prevent? Ask, how much of my future income am I giving away? Ask, will this vehicle make my life stronger or just make my image better? Ask, if I kept my current car one more year, what could I do with the difference? Ask, am I buying transportation or am I buying validation? That last one is uncomfortable, but it matters because a lot of people do not buy too much car because they need it. They buy too much car because it feels like proof. Proof that they are doing well. Proof that they are successful. Proof that the raise mattered. Proof that the hard work is paying off. And again, wanting nice things is not wrong. But if the proof of success keeps you from building actual financial strength, then the price is too high. Real wealth is usually quieter than a new vehicle. It looks like margin. It looks like low fixed expenses. It looks like investments that keep growing. It looks like debt that no longer controls you. It looks like being able to handle emergencies without panic. It looks like having options, and options are worth more than most upgrades. So the next time a car payment looks normal, pause. Normal is not the standard. Intentional is the standard. A vehicle should support your life, not absorb your future. And if you can keep that distinction clear, you will make better decisions than most people. Not because you never spend money, not because you never enjoy nice things, but because you understand the hidden cost. The payment is only the beginning. The real cost is the wealth, flexibility, and future options that payment may quietly replace. Like and subscribe.